Hello, mommies. Welcome wherever you are. We are going to be meeting another time for another home club. This week, we are going to be talking about how do I love difficult people, loving family members and neighbors well. We usually do this talk around the holidays, but you may be listening to it any other time. It's applicable at any time in your life, but especially during the holidays. Today, we're going to be talking about what makes loving people close to us so hard. Why am I to love them anyway, especially when they hurt me and they're annoying? And if I'm supposed to do that, how can I LOVE difficult people? I don't know about you, but I have some difficult people in my life, and I'm sure I'm difficult to some people that are in my life. So we all are in good company because we have to realize that whenever you're in relationships, it sometimes is difficult. So don't give up. Just keep on listening so that you can be encouraged to be able to love others well. We've talked about in Home Club so many times that life is all about relationships. We have relationships with the Lord, our husbands, our children, our family, and our neighbors. And we are called to love everyone as well as we can. But today we want to talk about those people that are difficult for us. What I want you to do right now is I want you to pretend that it is the Monday after your Thanksgiving holiday, or maybe the day that you come back or your relatives leave from your Christmas time together. What do you want your memories to be? Do you want to be sitting there on that Monday going, why did I say that? Why wasn't I nicer? Why did I let that bother me? I want you to play right now what you want to happen on that Monday after the holiday, and you can do it. We're going to give you tools today so that you can love others well, even if they are annoying. So let's get going. But before we do, let's go to the Lord. Father, we thank you that we have this time together. Would you encourage each one of us to love those people that are difficult for us? Will you teach us how to love them better? Love them the way you love us. Let us not make excuses. Let's not point the finger. Let's look inside and say, what can I do differently? And we ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen. So, what makes loving those people that are close to us so hard? We find it really difficult because as we get to know people, just like your husband before you got married, you thought he was such a perfect guy and everything was going really well. But after you get married, you've got to deal with him. You've got to deal with maybe some of his relatives with siblings or parents. And as we have to do that, we start to say, wait a minute, this isn't what I signed up for. I didn't know it was going to be this hard, that they were going to be flawed, that maybe they weren't going to like me, or maybe I don't like them. So as we get close to people, we start to see their flaws. And we know as we are planning our holidays, sometimes we're going, oh, I don't want to have to go to that relative's, or I don't want to have to deal with that person. But you know what? Stop and really ask yourself, what can you do to have a different attitude? Because we're going to talk about the reasons why it's hard to love those people close to us. And you're not going to like what I have to say because there's a lot of truth in us being part of the equation of having difficult relationships. It takes two, so we can't be blaming everyone else for all of our problems. Let's talk a little bit about what makes it hard to love those people that are close to us. Sometimes we don't feel very loved or accepted by other people. It may be your in-laws, it may be a sibling, but when we don't feel loved, a lot of times we just say, I'm not going to love that person. They don't give me anything, so I'm not going to give them anything. It may be that the people that are in our life are so agenda driven that they don't even care about having a relationship. They're so much about the doing that they don't know how to just sit and be. Or maybe you are the one that's agenda driven and everybody wants to talk and maybe you don't want to. So we have those differences. There are those people who have a critical spirit and are negative. But if people are having negative spirits and have negativity, there's usually something going on in their life. that you can just pray and ask the Lord to help them with, and for you to be encouraging and not just mean about it. We also have those people in our life that tend to be late and flaky. So we get irritated when we're having to wait for everyone. You know, we all have that high maintenance person in our life that all they want is to be the center of attention. Again, we all have these people in our life. We also have people that are self-centered and all they care about is them and their own agendas. Also, we have difficult relationship because of some trauma that may have happened in some of the relationships that we're involved with. So whatever they may be, think about what can you do differently to affect how you can love and accept them better. You can't change them. You can't fight with them because all that's going to happen is it's going to make everybody miserable. So really find out what you can do. And it really starts with you. It starts with you asking yourself, okay, I have this sister-in-law who I just don't feel likes me very much. What can I do to be more loving towards her? Maybe I can give her a call before the holidays and say, I'm so excited to see you. You know, what can I bring or what can I do? It's reaching out and it's looking at that person from their point of view. The Bible calls us to take those people that are in our lives that sometimes are hurtful and annoying. There's a verse I love. It says, as much as it's up to you, live at peace with everyone. Think about that verse. Ask yourself, how can I live at peace with these individuals that are so difficult? Because you may be asking yourself, why am I to love them? I mean, why do I have to love these people that are annoying in my life? I don't really want to be with them. They're too hard. All the things we talked about, they might be prickly, they might be annoying and self-centered, all of those things. But we are called to love everyone well. And it starts with us. If we start to love other people well, a lot of times they'll respond. It may not happen overnight, but it can happen over time. And you're in this for the long haul, especially if it's your in-laws or your relatives. They're going to be your relatives for a very long time. So make the best of it. We have to ask ourselves, how do we look at other people? Because we all have a tendency to judge other people by what they do, and we judge ourselves by our intentions. So let's say that you have a sister-in-law who has not been really nice to you and she doesn't call you and she doesn't reach out to you. But maybe in your mind you say, well, you know, I was going to call her, I was going to reach out, but I'm just so busy. So you judge yourself by your intention of having a relationship, but you judge her by her not reaching out to you. It could be the same with your in-laws. So be honest with yourself and say, what can I do to extend that olive branch? Send them a text. Tell them you're thinking about them. Tell them that you're looking forward to being with them for the holidays. Break the ice. Break the chain of broken relationships. One person has to break it for it to start to heal. Matthew 22:37 says, what is the greatest commandment? And this is what I want you to be thinking about when you're with your relatives that are difficult. It says, love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, all your mind, and all your strength. And love your neighbor as yourself. And your neighbor it starts with your husband and your children and those that are close to you. We have no excuse not to love. God even says in his word that if we don't love, we're not showing God's love. And we are really lying to ourselves. So if you do have this attitude of, I don't have to, we're commanded. And God doesn't give us any commandments that are not good for us. They're not given to us so that we can have a a killjoy. They're given to us because he designed us and made us so that we can give what he wants us to give to have that peaceful place in our life. And in Luke, it tells us, do unto others as we want them to do unto us, the old golden rule. So if you want people to respond positively to you, you do positive things to them. It's simple. If you're going to hold a grudge and you're going to give off that vibe that you don't like somebody, they pick it up. You don't have to say anything. They know. I mean, don't you know when you walk in a room, if somebody has a little kind of an ought with you, you can just kind of feel it? Well, don't be that person to have that ought against somebody else. Walk in that room, and if you have a difficulty with a person, go and say, oh, it is so good to see you. I'm so happy to be here. Do what you can. Sometimes for us to be able to do this, we need to know that we're lovable. So if you have trouble seeing yourselves as being very lovable, because maybe you're the prickly one in your family, and yet you know you're the prickly one, but you blame everybody else. Before you go to your holiday gatherings, start to pray and ask God to change your prickly heart, to give you a soft, gentle heart. Name the person that's difficult for you. If it's your in-law, if it's a sister-in-law or brother-in-law, really say, Lord, will you help me to show your love that you love for me to this other person? And he's going to do it. And as you're with the gathering of all of the people around you, God will continue to bring it to mind if you've been praying about it. And prayer is what changes relationships. Yes, we do need to work out conflicts with other people, but it starts with our attitude. Our heart attitude and our actions are what start to affect how the other person will view it. When we're with those family members, we need to identify some things that we bring with us. And I want to just talk about 2 or 3 of these. Sometimes if you are with relatives where there's spiritual clashing, maybe you have a faith and maybe a relative doesn't. Sometimes that clashing is where that person who doesn't want to know and you who wants to know and feels you clash. I would encourage you, if you have family members that don't believe the way you do, don't come in with this righteous attitude that you have it all together. Meet them where they are and just don't bring up things. Just love them where they are. Pray for them. Don't judge them. The other is that sometimes the people that we have trouble with are a lot like us. So when we see them, we're really looking in the mirror and we don't like what we see. And so we judge them. So if you are dealing with a person that's a lot like you, ask God to change you again. What can I do to have a better relationship with this person? Also, we all are self-centric. We are all self-centered. We all want things our way, when we want it, how we want it, and why we want it. So a lot of times we'll walk into a situation, and if people don't give us the time of day and what we think we deserve, we get ticked out of shape. Again, don't walk into a situation expecting something. Walk into a situation giving your love away, giving your heart away and your service to other people. So many times we walk in and say, well, who's going to do something for me? You walk in. Yes, you have little kids. You have middle school kids. You're tired, but get yourself rested up before you go so that you can go to wherever you are and serve with a grateful heart. Remember, Jesus came to serve, not to be served. So be a servant to your family. And don't just sit there getting mad because no one's serving you. Another big one, why we have problems with relationships, are unforgiveness. I know this one well. It's hard sometimes for me to forgive when I feel like I've been hurt. But God commands us to forgive. And he says in Matthew, in the way that you forgive others, God will forgive you. So if you're walking with unforgiveness about something that somebody's done or said to you, go to the Lord, ask him to forgive you. And if you need to, write a note to that person. Because even if they've done something wrong to you, Your unforgiveness is not pleasing to God or to that person. So you can write him a note and say, you know what, I'm really sorry that I've been harboring some bitterness or some unforgiveness to you. I just want you to know that I'm asking you to forgive me and I'm looking forward to our time together. Again, extend that olive branch, even if it's not accepted. Over time, it may be. This is also a biggie. We get jealous. Sometimes we have family members who have whatever we think we want or deserve. So we get a little bent out of shape if they have something we don't have. You need to walk into wherever you are, and if you have relatives where you have that kind of covetous little heart or that jealous heart, be thankful for what they have and give honor to them for what they value. Don't just hold that jealousy and go, I'm not jealous. I'm not jealous. Really ask God, why am I having trouble with this person? And a lot of times it comes down to these things that we're talking about. It's that we don't feel valued, that we're not getting the attention, that we don't feel we have something. God's not holding out on you. God is giving you everything you need. So don't compare yourself. If you remember our contentment talk, if we want to have contentment, we don't want to compare ourselves to other people. We don't want to compete with other people. We don't want to be critical, and we don't want to complain. Think about those 4 C's so that when you're walking in that room, you're not being critical of those people or complaining or comparing or competing. Another area we have trouble in is we have different personalities. So you might have somebody who's really strong, and maybe you're really strong and you clash. Or you have somebody that's really strong and you're somebody who doesn't know what to do with that strong person. Again, when you enter into a room, assess the room. Don't just walk in and barrel in. Walk in with the Holy Spirit, with God, saying, Lord, will you help me enter this room so that I can be a blessing to all the people that I'm around? And yes, you might have those overpowering, self-centric relatives. Just let them be. Let them talk about themselves. Remember, people who are so self-centric really don't feel very good about themselves, and they need somebody to validate them. So for this holiday, give them a blessing. Give them that presence of listening to them without all of the comparing and all. Just to say, wow, that's really interesting. I'm so happy for you. Give them respect. The last one that is an important one to always keep in mind is that when people have lived a hurtful life, when they have felt like they've been wronged in their life, they hurt. There's a saying that says, hurt people hurt other people. If you have somebody like that in your life, you know what? Just sit beside them. And even if they throw those little digs, don't take them personally. No, it's not personal to you. It's something that they're dealing with. They need your love. We always tend to love those people that are so easy to love, but they have so much love coming their way. They don't need all your love. It's the hurt people that need our love the most because they feel like they are not worthy of any love. So make it your mission this holiday season, or even with relationships you're dealing with all year long. Those people that tend to hurt, love them, pray for them, encourage them, because God can change them if we will partner with them. If we're just going to hold a grudge and hold unforgiveness, God's not going to work. When we're with other family members, we need to keep a verse in mind. It says in Philippians, do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit, but in humility consider others better than yourself. Think about what that says. It says, do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit, but in humility consider others better than yourself. I think we're living in a world now where we are so self-centric that life is all about us and that we haven't learned how to be others-oriented. If you want your children to learn how to be others-oriented, they need to see mommy and daddy being others-oriented. So think about this verse. If you want to look it up, it's Philippians 2, 3, and 4. And then in Proverbs 12:16 it says, "A fool shows his annoyance at once, but a prudent man overlooks an insult." Again, a fool shows his annoyance at once. He gets angry, he gets mean, he gets disjointed. But a prudent man overlooks an insult. Be that prudent person. Don't get annoyed. Don't get angry if somebody says something to you that you don't want to hear. Really say, Lord, don't let me be a fool. Give me peace. Give me patience right now to be able to love this person well. If we maintain that humble servant spirit when we're with our relatives and friends, if it's during the year or during the holidays, we can, at the end of that time, walk away going, Lord, thank you that we didn't have the same fight or the same issues. Now, let me also talk about something here. When we get together with relatives, a lot of times there can be drinking, there can be other things going on that are not healthy. So if you're with family members that tend to drink a lot, really ask yourself before you walk in that room, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Because when you're with family members and there's a lot of alcohol involved, everybody loses. And unfortunately, we know there's a lot of people who have alcohol issues. So please really think about when you're walking in, bring water, bring San Pellegrino, bring something so that you can substitute drinking when you're with your families. Because hurt people and alcohol do not go together. And so many times people have so many bad memories from holidays because of alcohol. So again, you can't change anybody else, but you can certainly change how much you drink. So I don't know why I said that right now, but I just really feel like God wanted me to share that. So really think about that. So let's talk about, lastly, a practical way that you can take something with you into that gathering. And you know I love acronyms, and this is one as well, and it's love. Remember, God commands us to love others well. So our acronym to take into your family gatherings is LOVE. And the L part stands for listen. We want to listen with understanding when we're with other people. We don't want to listen so we can one up. We don't want to listen so that we can tell this other person they're wrong. We don't want to listen to correct. We want to listen to understand where this person's coming from. And even if you don't agree with what they're saying, let it go. You're not going to change anybody. And listening means that you're hearing for understanding. You're engaging with that person. And as you're engaging, you may need to be praying under your breath, saying, Lord, this is so annoying right now, but will you help me to love well right now as I listen? Let me listen with your heart, Lord. Let me really hear beyond the words. So remember, L is listen, and O is overlook. Overlook what you don't like. Overlook the faults of those around you. You know, you have your own issues. You don't need to be judging everybody else. So overlook whatever is annoying to you. Maybe you're not getting the attention. Maybe somebody has made a little comment. Just overlook it. Don't give it any power. When we give it power, all that happens is explosions happen. So overlook those faults and let it go. And in that overlooking faults, if somebody has done something to you in the time you're together, just say, Lord, I forgive them, for they know not what they do. Again, it comes down to all of those other things that we're talking about with personality and the self-centric way that people view things. But we want to forgive and not hold a grudge and not hold that unforgiveness. People know when you don't have forgiveness for them. They feel it. They feel it in their spirit. You don't have to say anything or do anything. So L is for listen. O is for overlook, and V is for value. You need to remember that God made every single one of us, and we are to value everyone God made. So even that annoying person or that person that hurts you in your family, you are to value them in the way that you can value. And you show value by giving them your time, by sitting with them. You know, there's always those relatives that nobody wants to talk to because they're so annoying. Why don't you purpose right now to say, you know what, I'm going to go and spend some time with that person that is really hard. I'm just going to sit. I'm going to listen. I'm going to overlook. And I'm going to just show value to them. Just do it. Don't keep waiting for someone to give you something. And E is for encourage. When we're with family members, we need to be encouraging. Things may not go the way we want. You may be at your in-laws' house where they don't do things the way your family does them. So you're going, oh, really? Well, this isn't how we do it. You need to encourage what they do and be grateful and thankful and say, I so appreciate how you have served us or have invited us. Be encouraging. And as you're encouraging, what happens is people are going, wow, and they want to extend themselves even more to be in relationship. So remember, LOVE, listen, overlook, value, and encourage. Because we are told, above all else, we are to put on love, and especially for those that are hard to love. It says, over all these virtues, put on love, which binds them all together in perfect unity. And we want to be able to have unity when we're with our families. I want you to take one takeaway that is to be in your mind. In James, it tells us what causes fights and quarrels among you. They are caused because we don't get what we want. So as you maybe re-listen to this and you go to your family, really think about, why am I acting the way I'm acting? Is it because I'm not getting what I want? And then go back and say, what has God called me to do? He's called me to love others better than myself. I hope this encourages you to come to that Monday after Thanksgiving or that time after the Christmas holiday, or maybe any time during the year when you've been with difficult people, to say, wow, I didn't fall for it this time. We had a great time because I held my tongue and I was able to love well. God bless you all.